Lights out and blast off then. Good launch from Kevin Hansen. Good launch on the outside from Andreas Steffen as they go side by side down towards the first corner. Sample versus Brandt down towards turn 1 as well. And Brandt gets into 3rd position, but Kevin Hansen there, an absolutely textbook start, Dan. Exactly what he wants to do, exactly what he needs to do. Bit of clear air to set a good time here in Q1.
Yeah, that is what he needs to do. You've got to remember that Q1 is a random order for the grids, and then of course after that it goes to the drivers in with people amongst their times. So Kevin's in with people he wouldn't necessarily race against a little bit later on in the day, so he managed to get the start and get away and able to not be held up in traffic.
Here's Riley Sample down the inside of Dietmar Brandt through the left-hander. Brandt going a little bit wide through there, and we've seen quite a few errors actually from Dietmar as well. He's a double German Rallycross champion, so knows how to handle a Rallycross track, but just seems to be either struggling with the circuit or adapting to the Pantera.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what his experience is of this track, but he's definitely not got the experience in the Panteras like the people around him on the grid, so could be struggling a little bit with that.
Yeah, certainly could be. Here is Andreas Steffen. Then he actually had Dietmar Brandt going over the top of him in the early qualifying session yesterday. Hopefully that won't be a repeat today. It hasn't been a repeat here. You can see him there in 2nd position. Dietmar Brandt now chasing down Reini Sample for P3. Just to remind you, there are only 4 drivers here. Of course, no Perry McCarthy, as we mentioned just a couple of moments ago. Dietmar Brandt again going a little bit wide. Is there a case of him perhaps just pushing on a bit too hard in these early stages, trying to catch up with Sample?
Yeah, I mean, of course, Sample passed him on the lap before, so maybe a case of red mist for Dietmar Brandt here as he's now trying to push too hard to try and catch up to the back of him again.
Yeah, you can see there just going through that long left-hander. It's such a fast corner going into there because you've got to scrub off a lot of speed, and we see the drivers rotating that car so early going into there. It's really interesting to see the difference in driving styles, and you can definitely tell who's experienced in Rallycross and who has a bit less.
Yeah, it's a matter of being comfortable within the car and comfortable to have the car sliding. Of course, the people with the circuit racing style of background aren't necessarily used to having the car broad sideways facing the barrier on the way into the corner, so it's not just, you know, getting used to driving on a loose surface, it's also getting used to having a car that moves around a lot.
Absolutely. Well, Riley Sample, of course, he's got a different system now as well. He's the only driver here who uses hand controls. Was paralysed in a skiing accident back in 1996. Uses hand controls, was using an electronic system earlier on, and now he's got a hydraulic system that seems to be working just a little bit better for him, and he has been a lot more competitive actually over the last couple of rounds. We've seen some really good performances and actually a couple of qualifying race wins.
Yeah, so he debuted the new system in Austria, I believe, and yeah, it's proving to work really well for him, and he's able to keep it a little bit more with the pace with the new system.
You can see they're now onto the penultimate lap. Kevin Hansen clear out in front, 8.3 seconds ahead of Andreas Steffen. As Dan mentioned, of course, a random grid order for this one, so it's just a case of a lottery, really. No correlation as to who lines up where, and as such, you would expect, of course, Kevin Hansen, given the Rallycross experience that he has, to just be that little bit faster than the likes of Steffen and Sample as things stand. So coming through into this left-hander, and talk us through this section here, Dan, because you're going so fast into there, you have to scrub so much speed off, and Dietmar Brandt doing a bad job of that by spinning round going into that hairpin.
Yeah, not quite got that one nailed, has he? But yeah, I think you can see the guys, they scrub the speed off in a straight line, and then just as they've got the right sort of speed, they rotate the car so the nose of the car is facing the inside of the circuit. We can see them, you know, you can see the angle from the camera angles we have here, how much they're rotating the car on the way into the corner, get the car pointing straight, and then they've got all 4 wheels to drive them out of the corner. And hopefully we'll see Kevin Hansen do it on this time round, coming into the corner, braking in a nice straight line, and then you'll see him rotate the car. You can see the front of the car is facing the barrier now, all 4 wheels facing forwards to get the perfect drive out.
Well, what a brilliant run it's been from Kevin Hansen in Q1. He rounds the final corner to take a very well-deserved and commanding victory in Q1, race 1 here for round 10 of TitansRX. Andreas Steffen is going to come home a little bit further down the order, but crucially, look at the time there of Kevin Hansen, a 3:57.188. That is the fastest time we've seen so far this weekend in the qualifying session.
Yeah, very solid time there from Kevin, and it was good that he's in the group of cars he was in with. He had no pressure, so he was just racing the clock.
Absolutely brilliant stuff there from Kevin Hansen. Riley Sample comes home in the top 3 position. Dietmar Brandt down in 4th place, 25 seconds.